My name is Daniel Mercer. I'm 78 years old. I suppose that's old enough to start saying things plainly. Or maybe it's just old enough to realize you don't have much time left to circle around them. It's late while I'm recording this. The house makes those small, settling sounds it only makes after midnight. The refrigerator hums. The hallway clock drags its hands across the dark. I've lived with these sounds for a long time now, long enough that they feel like company. There's something I should have said many years ago. I did say it, eventually, but by then it didn't land the way I thought it would. It didn't fix what I imagined it might. It just hung there between us, thin and useless. I told the truth too late. I wasn't always a quiet man. People think of me that way now because I don't speak much at family gatherings and because I take a long time to answer simple questions. But when I was younger, I filled rooms. I laughed too loudly. I made decisions quickly. I believed certainty was the same thing as strength. I met her when I was 26. Her name was Eleanor. I still say it sometimes when no one's around, just to feel how it fits in my mouth. She had this habit of looking at you for half a second longer than most people do, not in a challenging way, just long enough to make you aware of yourself. When we first started seeing each other, I mistook that look for doubt. I didn't realize it was attention. We married within a year. It seemed like the right thing. We were both steady, sensible. I had a job at the plant. She worked at the library. We bought a narrow house with a porch that leaned slightly to the left, like it was tired of standing up straight. In those early years, the truth was small, harmless, I thought. She would ask me if I was happy, not in a dramatic way, just while washing dishes or folding laundry on the couch. "Are you happy, Daniel?" And I would say, "Of course I am." It wasn't a lie, exactly. I was content. The bills were paid. The car started in the morning. We had neighbors who waved and brought over tomatoes in the summer. But there was a restlessness in me I never named. Sometimes I would sit in the driveway after work, engine off, hands still on the steering wheel. I would stare at the front door and feel a weight in my chest. Not dread, just something unspoken, something that didn't fit into the shape of the life I'd built. She sensed it. I know she did. There were evenings when she would sit across from me at the kitchen table and watch my face while I read the newspaper. I could feel her waiting for something, a sentence, a confession, an admission that I didn't quite belong in my own skin. But I kept the peace. That's what I told myself. I thought kept was kindness. The first real fracture came quietly. We had been married 15 years, no children. That was my decision, though I never said it outright. I always told her it just hadn't happened, that maybe it wasn't meant to be. I let her carry that uncertainty. One night she said, "If you don't want this life, you can tell me." I remember the way the lamplight hit her face, soft, tired. I could have told her then. I could have said that sometimes I imagined leaving, not for another person, just for air, for something undefined. I could have admitted that I felt like I'd stepped into a role and never fully grown into it. Instead, I said, "Don't be ridiculous." She nodded. That was the last time she asked. Years folded in on themselves after that. Work, holidays, small arguments about nothing. We grew polite with each other, careful, the kind of careful that looks like stability from the outside. When she got sick, it happened quickly. A diagnosis in March, treatments by April, the hospital room by June. Hospitals erase the illusion of time. Everything is measured in beeps and visiting hours. I sat beside her bed and held her hand while machines breathed around us. One afternoon, when the light through the window was almost white, she looked at me and said, "I always wondered if you stayed because you loved me or because you were afraid to go." Her voice wasn't accusing, just curious, like she was asking about the weather. My throat closed. I felt that same weight from the driveway all those years ago. I told her she was tired, that she shouldn't think about those things. She didn't argue. She just turned her head toward the window. I told myself there would be another day, another chance. I thought truth was something you could schedule. She died 3 days later. The funeral was small. People said she was kind, steady, patient. They were right. After everyone left, I sat alone in the living room. The house had never felt so large. Her books were still stacked on the side table. Her reading glasses rested on top of a half-finished novel. That night, I finally said it out loud. I was afraid. Afraid of disappointing her, afraid of unraveling the life we had, afraid that if I admitted my restlessness, it would become real and demand something of me. And beneath that, something harder to say. I loved her, but not bravely. I loved her in a careful, guarded way. I kept parts of myself locked away, thinking I was protecting us. In truth, I was protecting myself from being seen completely. The worst part isn't that I doubted. It's that I never let her know the doubt wasn't about her. For years, she carried the quiet suspicion that she wasn't enough. I could have taken that weight off her. I didn't. After she was gone, people told me I had been a devoted husband. I nodded. I accepted their sympathy. I made coffee for visitors and thanked them for coming. I played the part well. I always had. But devotion without honesty is a thin thing. It looks solid from a distance. In the months after the funeral, I found small pieces of her tucked into corners of the house. A grocery list in her handwriting, a scarf in the coat closet, still holding the faint scent of her soap, a birthday card she'd bought for me in advance, hidden in a drawer. On the inside she had written, "I hope one day you tell me what you're thinking when you go quiet." That was when the truth started to change shape inside me. It wasn't about whether I should have left. It wasn't about some grand alternate life I might have lived. I don't sit here imagining beaches or cities or different names beside mine. It was about that moment in the hospital room, and all the smaller moments before it. The kitchen table, the driveway, the lamplight. She wasn't asking for a dramatic declaration. She wasn't demanding perfection. She just wanted to stand in the same truth I was standing in, even if it was messy, even if it was uncertain. I told the truth eventually. I said it to an empty house. I said it to her side of the bed. I said it while folding her clothes into boxes for donation. But the person who needed to hear it was already gone. There's a particular kind of loneliness that comes from that. It's different from grief. Grief is sharp at first, then duller. This is steadier, quieter. It's knowing you had the words and kept them. I still dream about her sometimes. In the dreams, we're back at the kitchen table. The light is warm. The air smells of coffee. She looks at me with that half-second longer gaze. In the dream, I tell her everything. I tell her that my restlessness was fear, that my silence was weakness, that I stayed because I loved her, and because I didn't know how to leave without breaking something I couldn't fix. In the dream, she listens. She reaches across the table. There's no drama, no anger, just understanding. Then I wake up. The house is dark again. The clock is still dragging its hands forward. At 78, there's not much left to rearrange. The past has settled into place. The rooms of my life are furnished the way they are. I don't tell this story because I think it will change anything. It won't change what happened. It won't give me another afternoon in that hospital room. I'm saying it because the silence feels heavier now than the truth ever would have been. If you're